Boker Tov, Bruchim Abayim. We are continuing on Shulchan Aruch Arachaim, Siman Kuf Nun Aleph, the halachot of Bet Knesset, and the Avlamed Gimel Amud Aleph of the regular prince of Mishnah Berura, and we are up to Seif Zayin. Now, Maran brings this in Shulchan Aruch, but this is really a Gemara that a person could spit in Bet Knesset. Now, is that considered respectful? Not respectful. We have to delve on whether or not nowadays, which you have like paved proper flooring for the shul, and things don't get absorbed in the shul of the floor rather of the shul. It's the same thing as the time of Chazal. But be that as it may, the Gemara says that you could do it. Shcharuch paskins yachol larok bo ubilvat sheshafshfenu braglav o sheyesham gemi sheim yarok letocho lo yeh nireh. You could do it if need be, but in a case that you could rub it with your foot afterwards to the ground and it won't be seen, or you have a gemi of something that you could spit in and it would not be seen afterwards. Of course, you have different minhagim in Klal Yisrael. They have the most famously, you have the Chabad minhag that by Hevel Varik in Anon Shabbat, they spit. It used to be much bigger of a thing. Now it's much smaller of a thing because it's not socially not as acceptable and so on. But they had that spit-ins. They have this little things that they would spit in, and so on. Again, the time that people unfortunately used to smoke more, this also was a thing that they spat. And the question was asked, of course, in the shul, can you do it or can you not do it? Right? So says the Mishnah Berura, says, of course, we're just talking about kavod Bet Knesset. You're alone sitting and learning in Bet Knesset, you want to spit. But in the Shat Tfilah, and the people are davening, of course, you cannot do that. That's the first and foremost the clarification that has to be done. The Chafetz Chaim does that and says, the Mishnah Berura, of course, in time the people are davening Shemona Esrei, you're davening Shemona Esrei, as we mentioned before in Siman Tzadi Zayin, a person cannot spit. Another one is what we always say from the Gemara in Masechet Chagigat Daf Hey. Gemara there says Harak b'fnei chavero. If you spit in front of your friend, b'katzba, and he becomes uncomfortable by this, you have to give din rechashbon in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That is considered, and this week's parasha we have after Achakamocha, right? So that becomes so much more important. You have to care about other people and how you make them feel, what position you put them on. So Gemara in Chagikat Daf Amud Aleph says that the example for insensitivity in Ben Adam L'Chavero is a person that spits in front of another person, right? Now, Ari HaKadosh altogether was careful not to spit because again of all these reasons that we just mentioned, and this is Midat Chasidut. If you take a look at Shara Siyun, the Chafetz Chaim writes, Mistabra Midat Chasidut hu the Avud. This is something he did, was an extra level of piety that he had. Aval Midina Shari, halachically speaking, is mutar, as the Gemara says in Masechet Brachot that we mentioned, Daf Samach Gimel Amud Aleph. And take a look, the Gemara there says, Ki beto de lo kapit inish alze. It's like your house. In Bet Knesset, if in your house you spit, in shul also you could spit. Okay, so that already opens door to discussion. If you spit in your house and your wife divorces you or throws you out of the house, and it's not accepted in the cultural society that you live in, so then of course it becomes that much more important to be careful in the Bet Knesset as well. And that's what he says. Those upper class, upper echelon of the society, that they're makpid in their house, not to spit in their house, it will be asur for them to do it in Bet Knesset as well. So that already opens the serious discussion that perhaps nowadays it should be asur for everyone, because nobody really in our culture and our society spits in their home on the floor. So, that being said, the Kaf Chaim writes that if a person does have to spit in the Bet Knesset, and there is place for it and spit on whatever it is, you do it in the left side, not or your back, but you don't spit in front of you, or not in your right side. And again, the reason that you are allowed to do this is because you want to be able to daven b'kavanah. If you need to spit and you can't daven properly without it, so that becomes something that's. So again, nowadays that you have napkins and Kleenexes and so on, so that becomes much less of an issue in a practical sense. But another important thing to keep in mind is in the area of Har HaBayit, in the area of Kotel HaMa'aravi as well, that we mentioned has the din of Bet Knesset. You may think that you're walking on the street, you may think that you're walking in a regular place, but that really has the halacha Bet Knesset, even though that you don't feel like that necessarily. That's something to be mindful that a person should not be doing it. And the Kaf HaChaim writes, this is machloket already in Lagaur and others. How about so'at ha'af? That means you're cleaning your nose, and Kaf HaChaim writes, to put that in the Bet Knesset, to throw that in the Bet Knesset is even more chamur than the rok, than the spit. So you have to be more careful. That's something also that people may or may not know. Perhaps most people don't know it because they don't deal with it as spitting in this generation, but that halachically still seems to be something to be careful with. And the that basically is, I think Kaf HaChaim basically says just to be careful that putting a person's so'at ha'af, the cleaning of nose, and putting it in the shul, that would be also not only asur, but it would be worse than the rok, than spitting. So it says the Shcharuch in Siv Chet, Tit shal raglav. If a person is walking in a muddy season, outside, and you got all dirty on your shoes, and now you want to come to the shul, you want to clean it up before you enter the Bet Knesset to daven. And also part of the decorum of tefillah and Bet Knesset is you walk in, as we mentioned before, with proper and clean garments, proper and clean shoes, and that's part of the kavod of the tefillah, the kavod of Bet Knesset. As well, the Shcharuch continues in Sif Tet, Lo hagim bahem kavod lechabedan ulrabesan. It's not only that what you act that has to be proper in the Bet Knesset, but also the Bet Knesset has to be upkept properly. If you just leave it to itself and it's gathering dust and dirt and smells and it's not properly dealt with, it's of course not respectful either. So therefore, we do minhagei kavod. We broom it, we mop it, we keep it clean and tidy and organized. Ve'nohagin lehadlik bahem nerot lechabedan. Also, we make sure to have lights, enough lighting as a kavod, because be'urim kabedu Hashem. With light, with fire, you respect HaKadosh Baruch Hu. When you go to a place and it's well lit, that is kavod for that place, right? There's a whole thing nowadays of how the lighting should be designed. It's a whole chokhmah and interior design of what color and how much light, a dimmer, a lighter, and so because be'urim kabedu Hashem, we understand that there is kavod associated with lighting, and therefore we always have proper lighting in the Bet Knesset as means of kavod. This guy, never forget, this person came to a shul once, and he takes one look at the ceiling, and there are a few of the fluorescent lamps this is many years ago, maybe 2 decades ago, and he was so baffled, he said, he dropped his thing, he said, I'm going to go order lights and have somebody come today and change them. So it wasn't really that, it was well lit, but So I asked him, I said, why I have to drive? He said, I would not have this in my house. To have like a light that's out and it just doesn't look properly done, I wouldn't have it in my house. So how can I let it be in my shul, right? So just literally pause this thing to go try to make sure that the shul has proper lighting, and that's Mikam Yisraeli. That's exactly what this is. We're careful to keep it on the highest level of upkeeping and cleanliness as the means of kavod for the Bet Knesset, right? And on this lighting of the Nerot, the Chafetz Chaim writes, "Na'agu la'adlik kodem she'yikanes adam litpalel." We do it before people come in to daven. We want it to be already well lit and nice as people enter the shul, even though that's before the time of the actual tefillah, because you want it to be, again, Shekhinah comes before the minyan is there. Like the Gemara says in Masechet Brachot, Avav Amud Aleph, right? The before, when you have a makom, the daven ba'asara, even before before the minyan is there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is maktimu ba. Hashem, comes before, and therefore you want that respectful arena and the kavod of the Bet Knesset to already be effective. Ve'od shkenayu osin b'mikdash, and that's what we do in we used to do in Bet HaMikdash as well. So hence we do the lighting, make sure it is there and it is properly lit before even the time of tefillah, before people start pouring in and coming in to the Bet Knesset, right? Now, in Reb Chaim Palaji writes in his Sefer Lev Chaim that Hadlakat Nerot in the Bet Knesset, the light of paying for the light of the Bet Knesset, Hadlakat Nerot in Bet Knesset is a skula. It's a skula, he writes, for being zocheh to the light of Torah, right? Light of Torah could be having children that are like that, or a person himself having siyata dishmaya to learn properly. And his son, Yitzchak Polaji, also writes that the nerot of the Bet HaMikdash that they used to do light nowadays is established, that mitzvah, that skula is established by the lighting of the Bet Knesset, because the Gemara says, based on pasuk in Yechaskel, v'hei lahem lemikdash ma'at, the Gemara in Megillah, that elu bate knesiot ubate midrashot shebebavel. That nowadays we do that through making sure that the Bet Knesset is well lit. It's like halakat nerot of Bet HaMikdash. That's like a pretty strong and heartwarming comment. But the lighting is not necessarily limited to the lights that you have in the time of the tefillah. The Ben Ish Chai writes that you should have a light in front of the Heichal, right, for the kavod of the Kedushat Bet Knesset, which is going to be there Yomam V'Layla, never is going to be off. Right? And the concept of ner tamid. Mishna writes that that's also part of the kavod of the Bet Knesset. That's never dark, right? It's never dark. So that's the minhag that people have a ner tamid hanging in front of the Aron Kodesh, which is the place that you want to glorify in the Bet Knesset. And he writes that even one moment it should not be off. So usually people have that already, a direct line that has no switches, it's lit all the time. And he adds that you should lachatchila do it from Shem and Zayit. Before the electricity time of Ben Ish Chai, they had like a big container hanging up there, and Shamash was his job to fill it up. But again, it was always done. It was done from Shem and Zayit, because again, the same parallel that Rabbi Yitzchak Plaji draws between Bet HaMikdash, which was Shem and Zayit as well. Okay, so Kafachayim says you should not be turning that off. That's why they don't put a switch for it, because it says if you turn it off, you need slicha v'kapara, It's like so you gotta be careful with it. Says Maran in Sif Yud, continuing as Shulchan Aruch, Afilu le'achar shecharbu adayin hen biktushatan. Now we start talking here that the kedusha of the Bet Knesset is not only when the Bet Knesset is up and running, but even after it's desolate and destroyed, still the kedusha of Bet Knesset is in that building, even though that no longer minyanim are going on, no longer is a happening place. Still b'kedushatan, and then they're still standing with their holiness. Ochem shonagim bahem kavod b'yishuvan, just like when they are up and running and beautiful and functional, they have kedusha and kavod. Kach noagim b'churbanam. You have to respect them and act within the boundaries of halachic respect of the Bet Knesset, even b'churbanam, even when they're desolate. Chutz mikibud veribus. The only thing we don't have to do is you don't have to go every day and start brooming and mopping the destroyed structure. That you don't have to do. But but if wheat starts growing there and it's all kinds of things, that already tolshimotam, we uproot them, we try to keep it tidy and neat still to some extent. But the things that we take off, the wheat that's growing up, we put them on the karka of the Bet Knesset. Why? Because we want people to see, look at what's happening to Bet Knesset. You want the community to wake up and gather the funds and rebuild the Bet Knesset. What is this? That the Bet Knesset is desolate. It should never be like that in a community. Now you add, you don't take away from the kedusha, and therefore the Gemara says that's how you do it in order to invoke the awareness in the hearts of people, mishum agmat nefesh, that they should be saddened. People should see this and they should be encouraged to kadesh yiru ha'am, that people should see v'ta'ir rucham, and they should be invoked v'shtadlu libnotam, to go back and revamp and rebuild the Bet Knesset. Fine, says the Chafetz Chaim, says the Mishna Berura. This is the kedusha being maintained even in the time that they're desolate, is both by a Bet Knesset and also by a Bet Midrash, right? As it says in the pasuk in Vayikra, in Perek Chavav, Vashimoti, I will destroy, right? Et mikdashechem, your mikdash, right? Doesn't say Vet mikdashechem hashimoti. Vashimoti, even after I destroy it, mikdashechem, still kadosh, still it maintains its holiness, its kedusha. V'lo ved mikdashem ashimem. Doesn't say it the other way around. Lehorod lanu, to teach us the kedoshim hem af kshen shamemin. That even if they're shomem, even if they're desolate, they're still going to be maintaining their kedusha. Ve'en chiluk bazeh. Doesn't make a difference if it's a Bet Knesset in Eretz Yisrael or it is in Chutz La'aretz, unless you have made a condition, which again we're going to have in the next Saif in the Shulchan Aruch. But nevertheless, a Bet Knesset that was destroyed, and they took all the stones and the dirt, and they took everything. Even the ground foundation, 3 tfachim, they wiped away. The Ben Ish Chai writes in his Shelot Tshuvot Rav Ba'alim, says in that case that nothing has been left of the Bet Knesset. There's no more kedusha left there either, right? But still, he says, you should not make a Bet Merchas, a public bathhouse or a public bathroom or something that's ikavod, something that's disgraceful. But the kedusha is no longer there. If you took everything off, then the kedusha is no longer there. And even though that the Bet Knesset maintains its kedusha even after it's desolate, but at the same time, if the goyim want to make a church, in a makom, there used to be Bet Knesset, and then the Kaf HaChaim writes it is mutar, right? it's mutar, he says, and it's not fit necessarily, it's not kavod, it's better to build these houses and rent them and take the schar for the sorche bet knesset. That's the better way of doing it. But nevertheless, if the goyim want to build a if imagine if you would have, this would happen in places of when Klal Yisrael has been in galut, this would happen all the time. If the community would move a little bit, and now you have the shul, the old shul and the new shul, some people go to the new shul, right? So old shul stays empty, and if you leave it empty, they'll say, okay, you're not using it, the government is going to seize the property, is built for masses of people entering, so let's make a church out of it. So says the Kaf HaChaim, if that's the government's going to do, is mutar, and even if it's encouraged, that you should go destroy the Bet Knesset, right? And not to let them do Bet Tifla, Bet Avodah Zarah, just build housing, rent it to people, and use the money for the new shul, right? That's what you should do. In order to prevent, it's mutar to do this, in order to prevent from it becoming a bit avodah zarah. So that's something important to keep in mind as well. That concludes basically our Seif Yud, and we will continue in Mirz Hashem, Seif Yud Aleph in the days to come.